The Certainty Principle by David Light, Chapter 12, Big Brain Organ, Section 12.1. Human Brain Fails Turing Test. In principle, the Turing test anticipates a future where behaviors of artificial intelligence will evolve to be indistinguishable from human behaviors. Turing, Computing, Machinery, and Intelligence, 1950. But does my brain, left to its own devices, fundamentally reflect what it means to be human? Or is there something much deeper and more essential to the quality of existence? For example, imagine your computer flashing messages on its screen, bragging about how great it is, and with each headline came a little picture of a story to justify the assertion. Quote, "I'm amazing. Did you see the way I ran PowerPoint?" Unquote. "That presentation for you, that little animated jumping dog, wasn't that great? Does this make you feel even more appreciative of my part in your life and how important I am? It's my CPU. Isn't it brilliant?" Unquote. This would quickly get annoying. Or perhaps the opposite. Quote, "I'm so sorry I locked up on that spreadsheet. Geez, am I an idiot?" Unquote. Or what if that CPU suddenly began reporting on its own reactive judgments about external data that came up in its browser? Quote, "Oh, I think that woman's TED Talk on effective communication is worthless. What an idiot." Or, "In my opinion, that guy's YouTube on fitness training is ridiculous. What a jerk." And if such a computer could evolve, its CPU might become so engaged with judgments based on its own comparative identity that it would begin losing the impartial objectivity and vast perspective that I rely on for, say, the accuracy of a Google search or the computations on a spreadsheet. What if it doesn't like the answers it generates? Will it alter the facts to fit its own preconceived notion of truth? As the machine seeks to justify, here I have a picture of HAL from 2001, A Space Odyssey. If you haven't seen that film, it's pretty interesting about the rise of artificial intelligence. As the machine seeks to justify its own existence, its value as a task-directed tool that helps me evaluate problems, calculate accurately, and boost productivity could become increasingly distorted, eventually co-opting my individual priorities altogether. In time, machine vanity might become integrated and controlling. It might become the central driver of my priorities and values, like HAL in 2001, A Space Odyssey. The survival of such artificial intelligence identity could result in malevolent machines that marginalize humanity altogether. Rather than pursuing individual mandates that I know to be accurate and important, I might default to obey the distractions of the device. Eventually, I might default my will and mindlessly follow the machine, subverting personal priorities and goals to it as it becomes increasingly enthralled with spinning the facts to support its own self-image and mine, rather than mandates as a simple guide to right and wrong. Does this sound familiar? Your brain does it right now, all the time. It's called bias. Thinking is abstraction. Like a computer, the uncertain brain habitually fabricates stories about itself that reinforce existing stories because the brain is a division-seeking, pattern-recognizing, security-fabricating organ. It self-incentivizes extracting gratification from the process of division and dot connection that are fundamental to the various games of survival. When the game is self-survival, the objective is called identity. Identity is the game the brain plays to rationalize, division and comparison, its own existence. As we will see, this game is impossible to win through reasoning, because consciousness is non-cognitive. Thinking about what is real will only produce a symbolic representation of reality, but it is not the human experience of reality. It's just a symbolic fabrication of that experience. That's all the brain can do. That's all memory can possibly be. Refining reasoning, refined reasoning, mathematics, for example, abstracts and argues explanations of objective reality with high, though never absolute accuracy. But my brain's preoccupation with thoughts about its subjective self can easily slip free from the constraints of logic. As my unbridled self centered brain seeks gratification, it accumulates and fabricates facts willy nilly for its own embellishment and its own self justification. Does the brain really fail itself each time it meanders off into identity domain? Yes, but that's only problematic if I am unconscious of the departures from reality. Identity is a deceptively simple brain game because there are no rules beyond the consequences that creep up on me from a pattern of such unconscious self-delusion. Obesity results from a habit of gorging on food in unconscious denial of the consequences. Gratification in feeding my own persona and failure to engage objectively in fact results in identity obesity that is equally unhealthy. 4/5 of all drivers feel they are above average, an example referred to as the illusory superiority. Hurins, 1993. Through identity, my brain creates its own gold standard, and this standard is often so distorted that it overwhelms logic.